Jan van den Brink, and I've put together a 3-part series around Google Calendar tips that I think you are really going to love. They are going to help you maximize your time utilizing this fantastic tool. And these are tips that I use on a regular basis. So I know they work, I know how helpful they are, and I know you're going to love them. We've already covered in part 1 some about Google basics, about Google Calendar basics. And in this session, we are going to talk about unconventional calendars. So it kind of builds on our previous session, but we're going to talk about tracking calendars, note calendars, and then the built-in tasks calendar. So as I mentioned in our previous session, if these are topics that you think would be helpful for you, you're going to want to make sure you've got your notepad out, you're ready to take some fantastic notes, and ready to put these into action. So if you are all set, let's go ahead and get started. So once again, I'm going to pull up, hello everyone, I'm going to pull up our calendar here, and we are going to talk about unconventional calendars. Unconventional calendars are calendars that provide you information. They, like the tracking calendar and the notes calendar, they're tools you can use to be able to have Google Calendar become your go-to throughout the day for important information. All right. So let's start with tracking calendars. Tracking calendars are calendars where you want to track something specific for your business, or maybe it's a goal, or maybe it's something personal. So I've got a sales tracking calendar that I've created, and the sales tracking calendar is where I would put maybe my sales for the day. So the way I would utilize this calendar is I would use these as all day events, and I would go ahead and create an event, and I could say today's sales, and let's say it was $100. Now, what I would do is come down here to where the default calendar is. I would click on that, and then I would go down to the sales tracking calendar. On the sales tracking calendar, I would click that. It changes it over. And for any of these unconventional calendars, I always set this to free. And the reason is that you don't want to be blocking your availability with just something that you're tracking. So you go ahead and save, and now I've got a sales tracking at the top of my calendar. This can provide me some information as I'm going through the week. Maybe I'm tracking billing, maybe I'm tracking some other things, but it gives me that ability to be able to see what's happening. What's also nice, again, about these tools is I can turn off the sales tracking when I don't need to be looking at that. So again, it's just there for good information, keeps it right in front of you. I don't have to go to multiple places. I have it right here. The second type of unconventional calendar that I'm going to share with you is a notes calendar. And I've got one set up for you. And you'll notice once again that I've set up these appointments as if they are full day appointments, same that as I did with the sales tracking, with the time being set to free. And I've done this in 2 different ways. I want to show you 2 different versions. The first version is you set up one appointment for the day, and then what you do is in the notes section, go ahead and start to put all of those notes that you have regarding whatever. So maybe it's follow-ups you have to do, maybe it's information that you want to just hold on to, or maybe you have to reach out to somebody, whatever it might be. So you can just write those right here. When you click save, they are saved right to that single note. You can also change the title of this note, but you'll notice that they're also kind of right here, right? So I can see them really quickly and easily. The other way to utilize this, and I'm not saying these are the only ways, but the other way is to actually set up a separate note for each item, right? So I would, instead of grouping them all together in the description, I would actually set up a note for each one. Either of these are fine. There's nothing, kind of good or bad. It's all a personal preference as far as how you want to utilize this. One thing that I would say is if you have a lot of notes that you're trying to capture here, what you will notice is it will condense your calendar. It'll push your calendar, the view of your calendar, a little bit. So you'll have to scroll a lot more in order to see your calendar. So that would be something that you might want to consider if you're going to have a lot of notes up there. But once again, you can turn it off and you have an expanded view of your calendar. So either way, it's a really great way to capture some of that information. The third unconventional calendar is a calendar that actually is already built for you in Google. And so if you come over to your sideline here, if you don't see this dashboard over here, there's a little arrow here. Yours might be hidden, so yours might look like this, but you just click the arrow and they pop out. And you'll see this is our tasks area. When I click on our tasks, I can go ahead and just add a task. And so here's task number 1. And I can go ahead and put some details in there, but more importantly, I can put the date and the time. So let's say this task, let's go to our week here, is going to be something we need to do on the 28th. I can actually give it a time. Let's say we need to do this at 9 a.m. And then I go ahead and hit OK, and you'll notice it pops right into our calendar. Very, very handy if you want to be tracking your tasks in that manner. Now, you can, once again, this is a separate calendar. You can turn this off as well. So if you don't want your tasks to show up here, then you can turn that off. The other thing that you can do, very similar to like the notes and the tracking tasks, is I could do, here's task number 2. And this time what we're going to do is we're just going to put it on the 28th, but we're not going to give it a time. And so I can go ahead and click OK, and you'll notice that it pops to the top of your list. So again, whichever way makes sense for you, you can go ahead and, kind of put them wherever you'd like. What's also nice about this, if you're using this as a task list, once it's done and you check it off, so we're going to complete task number 1. It will actually show it crossed off on your calendar. Again, I can turn this off so I don't have to see those, but I can have them in front of me as well. So unconventional calendars can be very, very, very helpful when you are using Google Calendar. So I hope I've given you some ideas here. Again, my name is Jen Vondenbrink. This is part 2 of a 3-part series. So make sure that you stay tuned for part 3. And if you have any feedback, anything that you've liked, or any tips you have, make sure that you reach out. You can do so in the comments, or you can check out additional resources on my website, jenvondenbrink.com. Thanks, everyone, and